Introducing you.
My history started with...
Wait, Mickey, let me introduce you on the
All
tape,
right.
because I didn't do that. This is Katie
I was going
Lund.
to tell you that
Oh,
my
okay.
history started in '36
Right.
by train.
Oh, okay. But I'm talking with Mickey Zahradka, Paul C. Zahradka, who was at Western State College and who is now an emeritus professor of music and director of admissions. And he lives with his wife, Nona, at their home at 302 East Georgia?
310 West Georgia.
310 West Georgia. Okay. So, Mickey, you were born in Illinois.
Illinois.
Pana?
Pana.
Pana.
P-A-N-A.
Okay. And what year?
1917.
Oh, all right.
And then came to Gunnison in 1936, fall of.
Mm-hmm. And did you come to Gunnison from Illinois, or?
Yes, right straight.
Oh, okay. Why did you come to Gunnison?
Well, my high school coach sent myself and another man, Alpha Sinclair,
Mm-hmm.
who was this girl's name, but he was a boy, I'll tell you, for sure. And he had a pass on the railroad, and I came by bus.
Uh-huh. You came out here to play football at Western?
Club to play football, that's right.
Okay.
And we did,
Mm-hmm.
among other things.
Mm-hmm.
I majored in music, and Sinclair majored in industrial arts and physical education.
Mm-hmm. And you thought of going into coaching for a while, didn't you?
Well, yes, I did.
Mhm.
I figured I owed that to Coach Wright because he brought me out here to play football.
Uh-huh.
And I did coach a little.
Mm-hmm.
Coached football at Uray,
Mm-hmm.
Hayden, Summit, at Delta. Then it was all music in
Uh-huh.
classroom.
Uh-huh. When did you decide to go into music?
I was born with it.
Oh, okay.
My father was a very good musician,
Mm-hmm.
and
What did he play?
he played a trumpet,
Oh.
cornet.
Mm-hmm.
And from the time I can remember, could hold it, I played the clarinet,
Oh.
which I did.
Oh,
Majored
okay.
in reeds.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And became a band man.
Oh, okay. And did Western have a good music department when you came
Oh,
out
you
here?
bet they did. That was, I arrived about the second year of the music camp.
Uh-huh.
And it had just finished when I arrived here. And then it carried on until it stopped. And that was stopped by the legislatures, a vast mistake, I think.
Well, you know, because I was reading about the music camp in Abbott Fay's book, Mountain Academia. And he was saying in 1959 they had 1,180 students who came.
Oh, yeah. Or more.
Yeah.
Many, many students.
Yeah.
A lot of parents brought their students,
Mm-hmm.
their children, to the camp, and then just stayed on. They'd go to various places, resorts and so forth.
How many
Or-
weeks was it for?
What?
Was it for the whole summer, the camp?
No. It was about 10 days.
Okay. And you had Graffe, is that how you say his name? He came?
Gruffy,
Yeah.
yes, he was here.
Yeah.
He was a top-notcher, and so was William D. Rivelli
Uh-huh.
from the University of Michigan.
Uh-huh.
And we are still very close friends. Of course, the other one is dead.
Right. So the music camp was from 1934 to about 59, 60?
Something like that, I don't know exactly.
Why did I can't imagine why the legislature decided to stop it.
Well, it was we had a good music school department, and I don't know why they did, but they decided to do it. And I think the president at the time was Bryant,
Oh,
Harlan Bryant.
yeah. And he couldn't deter them, or?
Well, he couldn't or didn't want to, one of the two.
Yeah.
It just went. Yeah, just.
Well, what did Gunnison look like when you got off the bus in 1936?
I'm glad you brought that up. There you had to come in by road. It was all gravel.
Mm-hmm.
And as I know of, there's not any paved streets in Gunnison. And you would come in on the railroad train, left Salida at 10:30 in the morning, and yeah, how was it? And then you got here about 11:30 or something like that. Oh, it was, you had to leave over there about took 5 hours. I think you left somewhere around 9 o'clock, and you got here at 12:30 or something like that. And it would start whistling, and that was your first view of town. And you looked towards Gunnison, nothing but a cloud of dust. Everybody in town, when they did the first train whistle, they all ran down to the depot, because that's how the mail got here and everything else. If a bus came in, why, he was had a big cloud of dust behind him too.
Yeah.
It was quite dusty.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard you had a lot of dust storms in those days.
Well, if the wind came up, you had dust.
And you came from the Midwest. What was your impression of the Gunnison terrain?
Oh, well, everybody likes cowboys and Western stories, and this was it. And a lot of horses.
So you weren't disappointed when you got off the
Oh,
train?
Lord, no. No, gosh, no.
And what did you think of the college? What was your first impression of the college?
Well, I'd always thought anything educationally was tops. And I thought the college was fine. The professors were well qualified, and they were also well qualified as good citizens. And they were, if there were a hardy group of educators, they were. And they put on the dog sometimes too.
Right. And now Casey was president when you came out here. Clinton Casey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Did you have much to do with him when you were a student, or did he seem to have much influence on your...
Oh, well, yeah, he made the rounds on the campus, and I never met a stranger in my life anyway, you know, and I thought he was a pretty good man.
And his wife, I guess, was supposed to be very cultured and...
Well, I guess so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's a very, very nice person. And in those days, they lived on campus. I mean, they lived into town.
Oh.
And there was just one dorm, and it was a girls' dorm.
Oh.
So the rest of us lived some other places. Then they built a women's dorm, and they moved the old dorm across the street from the back door of the cafeteria.
Oh.
Right in there.
Oh, okay.
And then they finally did build another dorm where it is now. No, see, when they build that boys' dorm?
Right where it is now, by the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And where the president's home is now, we had a nice ice rink there.
Oh.
So I think maybe there might be some evidence of the old ditch around there that piled up earth and so forth.
And you didn't get the library till 38, right?
That's right. Yeah, and we were on the third floor of Taylor Hall.
Oh.
That was the library.
Oh.
And it was a good library.
Yeah.
Then they built the one that is there now.
Yeah, the old one.
And, meantime, we'd had a music building. And
And the music building, what was the music building?
No, the music building was in the basement of Taylor Hall.
Oh, okay.
They had offices there and classrooms and a large band room. Done mainly by George Damson because he was here till he retired.
So it was a smaller campus, and you didn't have very many students either, did you, compared to today? A couple of hundred, 300?
Yeah, we'd run anywhere from 200 to 350, and built up a very fine summer school. And we have a lot of Well, we've had to finally got the MA and so forth, and the graduate program. We had a lot of Oklahomians here
Oh, did you?
come up and spend the summer.
Oh, sure.
Wives and kids
Sure.
were on campus. And
Yeah.
no, hardly any classes after 3:30. They're on the river fishing.
Right. Right. Yeah. Must have been. That was the Depression. I heard you came to Gunnison with $12 in your pocket.
Yeah. Well, everybody was in the same boat,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I think my bus fare all the way from Pana, Illinois, which is just about 70 miles the other side of St. Louis, I think it was about $16 to Denver. And then the only way over after that was a few buses, but you had to take the train.
Uh-huh.
It cost me $10 to go from Denver to Gunnison.
Yeah. Yeah.
Changed trains. We got in to Salida and wait for the other train to leave here at 10:30, and it got in or 7:30, something like that. And it got in here about 10:30 in the morning. Blow the whistle out there, and big cloud of dust. Go down to the depot, which is down where it is now,
Oh, okay.
at the end of Main Street.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there is a very fine walk, goes all the way, cement walk went on down.
Uh-huh.
And that was used plenty because there weren't any taxis. There were
Uh-huh.
a few
Right.
cars, and
Right. Yeah. Right.
folks would go down and pick up their folks,
Right.
that type of thing.
Right. Right. That's what I heard. You had to have somebody meet you.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise you would. Well, was Gunnison a friendly town?
Very. The ranchers were naturally behind all of the athletic programs
Mhm.
and the cultural programs, and all of the women's clubs in town
Mm-hmm.
had members, female members,
Mm-hmm.
that were still on the staff up here. They were also there. So it was just one big happy family, really.
Yeah. Sounds like a nice school. Well, I know
Well,
you.
one of the things was that Coach Red was born and raised here,
Uh-huh.
and of course, he was always a leader until he
Mhm.
died, and then was a leader after that. Even.
Uh-huh. And when you played football, who did you play? What team?
Oh, the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference.
Uh-huh.
We played
Same.
Greeley and
Uh-huh.
CC, and Pueblo wasn't too big yet, but we did play them a couple of times
Uh-huh.
while they were at junior college.
Uh-huh.
And Greeley.
Mm-hmm.
I think we played Fort Collins a couple of times, but they were at the university, you know, and
Oh,
pretty tough.
Right. Right.
Where did you play when you went to Mexico?
Let's see, New Mexico, Eastern New Mexico
Oh, okay.
College.
Yeah.
Now it's Eastern New Mexico
Yeah.
University.
Portales.
Portales, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big, big trip, all by bus.
Oh, I bet it was in
Yeah.
those days. Yeah, because the roads
Sure.
wouldn't be very good at all.
No, they really weren't.
Yeah, I
They
bet
were
they
just
weren't.
two-laners, you know.
Yeah, right.
Usually paved.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, but still.
and those big buses look like school buses, you know,
Mhm.
the motor in the front.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Pile all your luggage on
Yes,
top. And
yeah. We used to ride those in Ethiopia when I was in the Peace Corps.
Is that right?
Yeah. That same kind
Same thing, yeah.
Same kind of thing, and you'd be driving along, and some luggage would fall off the top, and someone scream, and they'd stop the bus and run
Go back and get it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we had, well, all the football equipment would go in the things underneath, in the
Mhm.
bags, athletic bags and so
Uh-huh.
forth, underneath the seats, and then you had to walk up about that high to get in the bus,
Yeah,
and then there were
yeah.
seats, and then all the other luggage on top,
Mhm.
or under the seat, or in the shelves
Uh-huh,
around.
uh-huh.
Way
Now,
to go.
I heard that even though you didn't become director of admissions till 1963, you recruited Nona in 1938 to come to Gunnison. Is that right?
She was already here with her brother, who
Oh,
was a
okay.
graduate of Western.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we fell madly in love.
Oh,
That's
okay.
all there was to it. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, it was. That sounds good.
She was going to DU, and I never did hear from DU. I thought they might. They took one of their star students.
Yeah.
You know, but,
They might. Oh, maybe they just think love conquers all and you can't fight it.
well,
so,
I
you know.
guess, yeah.
So you graduated with a BA in music in 1940.
Yeah.
And then you went out to the high schools across
Yes, I taught.
the state.
Well, I
UA
was the only graduate band man that got out a little bit early.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the band man became sick on the west slope, why, I filled in for him.
Oh.
And that's how I went to URA. Huh? And to Glenwood first, to Myron Brockway came down with appendicitis.
Uh-huh.
So they sent me over there for 19 days.
Oh.
I had a whale of a good time.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and then to URA, and holy cow, I thought I was never going to graduate. Then I went to Hayden after that. Hayden and Delta, Littleton, and Durango.
Wow.
And every time they needed a bandman, boom, they sent me out.
Yeah.
And came back and graduated in the summertime.
Uh-huh. I heard you went to school 22 consecutive summers.
That's about right.
And does that start from 36 to
Yeah,
22?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about 58.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and count, look at the transcript.
Yeah.
But it was a
That
lot
was
of
music.
time. What?
That was music.
You know, music camp too. We all, if you were a graduate of Western, you came back and automatically worked for the music camp, bring
Uh-huh.
students in,
Oh.
and they always needed assistance.
Uh-huh.
I think the students up there are probably the same. If something happens there, they need help. Their students are down there helping and doing it.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it was. It's our college. That's,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that type of
enrolled.
Yeah.
What?
You enrolled.
Oh, yeah. But I was enrolled too, but then no matter what,
That's where you got the 22.
yeah.
Oh, okay. And when you came back and you went around and taught band and you coached football in high school, and then you came back in 1952 to be assistant professor of music here
That's right. And
and director of alumni services.
alumni services, because I knew everybody in the country.
Yeah, that's what they said. You knew all of them.
And it was a lot of fun. And then of the various schools close by, I mean, we're in this district.
Mm-hmm.
CU and CC and Fort Collins and the University of no, out in the state here, Salt Lake City,
Oh,
Utah.
Yeah, Utah. Yeah.
And that was District 7
Mm-hmm.
in the American Alumni Council.
Oh.
And I served a term as director of that
Uh-huh.
that district, so I knew all of those people. And yeah, oh God, it was a big area.
So how did you have time to teach? You were teaching full time, I take it, right? And director of alumni services at the same time?
Well, that was my JWAD was alumni services.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So I would have to take, we'd send profs out all the time,
Mm-hmm.
extension. And many of those profs couldn't drive. They were back in the old Model T days.
Yeah.
So we always had a good car. So I would take them if they couldn't drive. Not like Doc Taylor, he couldn't drive.
Uh-huh.
And and some of the rest of them too,
Uh-huh.
in his category. So
Now,
I
was this
think
when you were a student or when you were director of alumni?
Director of Alumni.
Oh, okay.
Director of
Yeah.
Alumni Services, and that
Okay.
covered everything.
Oh, okay.
Ryle Lake and me.
Uh-huh.
And Ryle, he did more for that college you could shake a stick at, I'll tell you. And so I'm his assistant, so
Uh-huh.
I helped him.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So, how had the town changed in the 12 years that you've been gone?
It just kept developing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that about the first thing that pavement went through was highways.
Uh-huh.
And then Main Street. Oh
Uh-huh.
boy, was that something, you know.
Yeah.
And one of the things that helped that along was during music camp, boy, the merchants downtown thought that was great because we'd have all the programs downtown, marches and so forth, and all the tourists came in, and
Yeah.
a lot of the parents bringing students into the music camp
Mm-hmm.
would stay. You know, it's about 10 days, and why not?
That's what we need today,
Oh
huh?
yeah, oh it was
Wouldn't that be great?
Just a great
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. And now, Mickelson was president when you came back.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he a good president?
excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. I liked him very much.
Well, why? What kind of things did he do for the campus and
Oh.
college?
Nobody pushed him around.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Oh.
he wasn't a dictator.
Uh-huh.
He just wanted the best he could out of his people, and he
Uh-huh.
got it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And you had a lot more students too, didn't you? Because it was after the war.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And he thought all of our ex-GIs who came back, you know, I thought they were all great, and they were.
Uh-huh.
And they gave us a lot. Of course, they were paid by the government, you know.
Uh-huh. Right.
And
right.
so they had an obligation to keep. They had to take so many hours
yeah,
and so
right,
forth.
Right.
And they were tough enough. Boy, we had
Yeah.
great athletic teams.
Oh, that's right. And what, 1955? They were undefeated, is that right?
Could have been, yeah, yeah.
I saw that somewhere.
If they didn't defeat us, they sure
Yeah.
wish they had it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was kind of a thriving school, right? And you got your MA here in what,
Yes,
59?
later.
Right? Yeah.
Later, yeah.
Okay.
Come back and take summer music camp, pick up a few hours, and then when we weren't out trying to make money,
Mhm.
you know, with summer jobs.
Yeah.
God, I inspected every damn peach orchard and, I beg your pardon, Dan, every peach orchard in Delta County,
Uh-huh.
because I lived down there. I was the bandman down there too.
And that was your summer job, huh?
What?
That was your summer job.
Well, yeah, summer
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
They were good.
Yeah. And I heard you worked in a coal mine too, when you were
Oh
in
yeah,
Hayden.
at Hayden, I did that. Yeah. Oh, they gave me a good job. I was in the gold mines. I was in Uray. We were out actually mining gold, and then running the little train hauling the ore out. You know,
Uh-huh.
and we're a mile and a half in that mountain. You know, clear. I'll tell you, way in there.
You didn't suffer from claustrophobia,
Never.
obviously. You're a mile and a half in, you didn't.
No, it's all electric lights, and I did work in the coal mine too, and that was a little tough. They put me on the track there, building track, and you got to keep your eyes open. Sometimes you just have to lay down alongside the track, and whew, comes 35 big cars of coal out of there.
Yeah.
That was their main job to do that. That was in Mount Harris mine. Harris got its name from the Harris family in Denver.
Oh,
They owned the mine.
yeah. So, your kids grew up in Gunnison then?
Yeah, that's
Did they
right.
like growing up in Gunnison?
Oh, I think so. Well, Mike is still here, you know, he's
Yeah,
back.
right, right.
And he was working for the University of Wyoming for a while in the public relations department. But they decided to do away with that one, call it something else, I guess, so they let him out.
Yeah.
So he's been here ever since.
Well,
Heavily educated he is.
Yeah. Well, then in 1961, you became assistant director of admissions, right? And then you became full director in
Yeah, that's right,
1963?
yeah. I was under Ryle Lake.
Yeah. Oh, I see. And then Ryle retired, or he moved into public.
Yeah, he moved
JW's
into
job,
everything.
yeah. Or JW moved into his job, really.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, no. I have a question. From 1960 to 61, there was a president, Grant Venn.
Mhm.
How come he was... Mickelson died here, right? Is that
That's right, yeah.
He died here. And then they appointed Venn, or they chose Venn?
I don't know how Grant Venn got here. I never messed once with the, or was too concerned with the administration of the college, because I figured that it's their job, and so they do it. And there are enough people looking down their throat that they have to do the right job.
Right.
And Grant Venn was okay as far as I was concerned. He never bothered me.
But he just stayed a year,
Yes.
and then he went somewhere else.
I don't know where he went.
Oh, okay.
Down into, did he go to Oklahoma? I can't remember.
That's not and so then there was a year with no president. So at least there's no picture of him
That's
at the
right,
school.
yeah.
Yeah, and then Harlan
Who was,
came in.
Interim president was Cummins.
Oh, D.H.
D.H. Cummins, yeah.
Oh, D.H. was in one.
And he did a good job, too, yeah.
Yeah, I liked D.H.
I always liked D.H. because he was a carbon copy of my grandfather. He was a
okay.
little man and
Yeah.
it looked somewhat like him.
Oh, okay. And then Bryant came in.
Mhm.
What was it like to be director of admissions from 1963?
Well, it's one thing that I do like, and that's people.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people that went to school with me, we always had a boxing program, and I was in a boxing program, too, among other things. Got hit on the head a lot of times. But then having played football for Coach Wright, I never had any trouble. Nobody ever, and the other thing is I'm pretty easygoing with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always felt that if a student worked for you, or you had something to do with what students were doing, why, if they didn't put out, why, you very carefully got rid of them and got somebody else,
Right, right.
And I can't even remember firing anybody, but I'd sign them another job or say, hey, you need so-and-so,
Right,
that type of thing.
Yeah. And so was recruitment fairly... Did you go out mostly in Colorado to recruit, or did you go all
Only
over
in
the country?
Colorado.
Only in Colorado.
Only in Colorado,
Okay.
that's right. If I went over someplace else, it would be with somebody, I'd go with someone. Or some director of admissions from Eastern New Mexico University now, for instance. Hey, I got a student for you, Mick.
Yeah.
Because we were in District 7, and we
Right.
met with the directors of admissions
Right.
from all of those places all the time. And it was kind of one big happy family.
Yeah.
And if you could help them with a student, well, you did.
Yeah. And there were a lot of students in college in those days, right?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
kind of the heyday of the
Yeah,
60s,
right,
right?
because,
I mean, we all went to college.
We're just getting out of the Depression,
Yeah,
really.
Right, right.
And things hadn't been really set yet. The war effort and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of GIs back, and what are you going to do with them? And,
Yeah.
well, the government decided, well, we're going to do with them, we're going to give them an education
Yeah.
if they want it, and they did.
Yeah.
So we've got a great government.
Yeah. And so you were, in those days, was it mostly education at Western? In the 60s?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. You could major in a lot of other areas.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had a lot of chemistry majors,
Uh-huh.
and physical education,
Yeah, and
that
business
type of
too,
thing,
huh?
have gone out into doctors and lawyers and so forth,
Yeah,
all that type of thing.
yeah. But it was a good school to get your master's in the summer.
Excellent.
Yeah.
They're probably mainly have died off by now, but boy, you had to speak Oklahomian in the summertime up here.
Yeah.
They're all great folk. Just
Yeah.
come up and
Yeah.
bring their families. And
Yeah.
it was great.
And then, oops, needs to turn over.
Didn't
What?
want to get in front of the camera here, so I was waiting.
Oh, that's all right. I wouldn't even pick you up, Nona. I don't think. Yeah, unless you just stood right next to. Well, how would you characterize the years of Bryant's presidency?
Well, he was a good friend of mine,
Mm-hmm.
and
Wanted you director of admissions, right?
huh? Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
And if I ever asked him for anything, and it was possible, budget-wise,
Mm-hmm.
to have, I got it.
Mhm.
And I thought he was a pretty good man.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of a country guy, really.
Uh-huh.
A decent person.
Uh-huh. Yeah. He
Talked
was
slow.
here the first year we were here. He was president,
Yeah.
so I didn't really know him.
Uh-huh.
But
And I thought he was a good man.
mm-hmm. And the school was still growing in those days, right?
Oh, yeah. You
Yeah.
bet.
And even when John Mellon first came in,
Uh-huh.
we got the Vietnam vets.
That's right. Well, we had some great props here. Ed Randall, for instance,
Uh-huh.
and who was the little guy in education? Oh my! Just a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
were just-
Was there a different kind of student in those days?
Well, I think they were all students who wanted to better themselves
Mm-hmm.
in education and therefore then a better life and so forth. And they met their mates here.
Mhm.
A great many of them did. And yeah, they're great students. That's all into it. They knew what they were doing, and if they didn't, they flunked out.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, that's true. It seems like, Gunnison has always attracted a student who likes the outdoors. I mean, if you don't
Mhm.
like the outdoors,
Yeah, that's
you
right.
really don't
True.
want to come to Gunnison. Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons that the Oklahomians came in. It was a great place to spend the summer, up in the cool,
Yeah,
fishing, and they all became fly fishermen,
yeah, yeah,
And classes were great.
yeah. Is that what brought you back to Gunnison when you came back originally in '52?
Oh, sure. Where else would I go to school,
yeah,
than here?
Yeah,
It had what I wanted, and I didn't want to teach any place but on the Western
yeah,
Slope,
yeah,
so I did.
yeah. Okay. What's the biggest change you saw during your years at Western State College?
Oh boy, I don't know. It always stayed with the times. It was right up there always. So
Uh-huh.
whatever change other places had, we had it too, because
Mhm.
we were all in these things together.
Yeah.
So we were able to get more buildings,
Mm-hmm.
and as transportation and all those things came about, why, naturally the institution stayed with them.
Uh-huh.
And through athletics, Rocky Mountain Conference and so forth, they had a chance to visit us. We had a chance to visit them.
Uh-huh.
And I think that athletics probably helped a lot in the development of the college and so forth. But
Uh-huh.
then the profs are the ones that have to instigate them to see it.
Yeah. Well,
Ken Hansen, for instance,
Yeah.
he was a whiz. No, and he batted himself, his staff, and
now he was in education.
in education, yeah. He just got some terrific people in there, and he was always good,
Uh-huh.
good. So, and we had, well, and Ed Randall, there, I mentioned him before, and the science guys,
Uh-huh.
same way.
Uh-huh.
The PE guys, look at Tracy Bora, you know,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
he's known worldwide, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of the other coaches too.
Well,
Talking about this brings back some great memories.
like what?
Oh, I just appreciate the college more all the time, you
Uh-huh.
know, and you just take it for granted up there, and then if you know what it did, and I was dealing with people all the time, so I know what it did,
Right.
and so
Gunnison would be a much different place without WSC. It just.
it'd be
Yeah.
but a little cow town. That's
Right.
right. I'm
That's
sorry, cow town, but
No,
that's where you
right.
have ranches.
Yeah. Right, that's right. I mean, it just gives it a diversity that it. Yeah,
Right, uh-huh.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's a nice small town.
It is that.
Yeah.
Well, either way, any way you go, it's like 100 miles away,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and so we live with ourselves here. And
Yeah.
we-
That can be a disadvantage, but it can be a real advantage.
That's right.
See?
Yeah. We don't lack a thing because anything that the airplanes pick up, they usually come back here
Yeah,
before they go to Denver,
that's right.
and they're gone.
And I mean, if you really want to go to something in Denver, you can do it now. It's only
yeah.
4
That's
hours,
right.
you know.
Yeah,
You can do it in a weekend. And it's still, well, we raised our daughter here in the 70s, but it was just the perfect place to raise a kid.
Oh yeah.
They have so much freedom.
Oh yeah.
Well,
They can't get too far.
That's right. But you don't worry. They can go to the library. They can go to these places.
That's right.
You know, you don't worry about them.
It's too far for the foot travelers to come through.
Yeah.
Like in Illinois, we were close to some big railroads, and a lot of bums riding. And when I first came out here, we was just coming out of the Depression,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know how many bums my mother served, you know, but they're all good people. Some
Yeah.
could speak English and some couldn't,
Yeah.
but, you know, they were out trying to find jobs
Yeah.
places.
Right. Right.
So out here, no bums.
Yeah. Plus, it's so cold.
Well, yeah.
We don't have any homeless either, but how,
That's right.
you just can't.
Well,
be
the big
homeless here.
railroads
Uh-huh.
turns off here at Salida
Yeah.
and goes down
Yeah, it's true.
out to
Yeah.
Grand Junction and Salt Lake City and so
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah. So you wouldn't want to come over this way. I know you were an emeritus when this happened, but how did you feel when the graduate programs, the Western Law graduate?
Oh, I
programs
was
in the 80s
very
were-
disappointed. Yeah. And I really don't know how it happened. And it's hard for me to say, though some of them had, that our president at that time did it, but I don't think he did.
Oh no.
I think it was just a sign of the times.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I think we were in a weak position. People took advantage. Yeah. No, I don't think.
And
that.
they grabbed some things from us.
Yeah.
And Grand Junction was just starting,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And we used to go down there, and some of our profs couldn't drive, so I would, being an alumni director, I always had a car, so I'd take them down.
Yeah.
Had extension down there,
Near
terrific
the
extension.
Grand Junction, huh?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
And Glenwood Springs, rifle.
Oh.
we were in some classes clear down from Meeker.
Uh-huh.
Meeker and clear on down, what's the name of the little town down there? Oh, Jim Hanks lives down there now.
Oh, I don't know where he is.
And yeah, I got a card from him the other day. So we just
Yeah, it was
we
a-
just did a lot.
Yeah. It was, I can remember in the 70s and, 80, early 80s, before we lost the graduate programs, where you go on campus in summer and there'd be kids all over the campus and
Oh, yeah.
on their bicycles, and there'd be a movie. Every Sunday night, Charlie would show his movies, and it was just really alive.
Yeah, it was a family college.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
bring your
Yeah.
kids here,
Yeah. It
and
was
our
a
PE
different
department
student in the summer, too.
recognized that, and through the facilities that we had here, why, some of our PE people learned things that they didn't at other schools because
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
taking care of their own community, and that, you'd have to look a long way before you'd find a graduate of Western State that couldn't fit into any community
Yeah.
and be an important member of
Yeah,
that community.
Yeah. That's a real advantage, I think, about
Oh, yeah.
a school like that. Now your granddaughter just graduated from Western, right, Elizabeth?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. What did she think of her education there?
Well, it's top notch.
Yeah.
And she's now working on her program in medicine,
Uh-huh.
and then she has had a program on immunology,
Oh.
and she'll come out with a doctor's degree.
Oh,
And
is
she took
going
her-
to see you, or
Huh?
is she going to see
See
you
you.
in Denver? Yeah, or
Yeah,
see you?
see you
Yeah,
Denver.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's what I heard. Yeah.
And her boyfriend is over there, and he's going to the same place she is,
Uh-huh.
and he's a whiz too.
Yeah. So I always saw her name. She went to school with my daughter. They were
Oh, yeah,
in the same
sure.
class. But I always saw her name up there on the honor list. So I
Oh,
knew
yeah.
she
She was just
up
a
there.
terrific person.
Yeah, yeah. What about the new scholars year?
It doesn't concern me in any way.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't even know what they mean by scholars year. Is that just another name for something else in education?
Well, I guess.
I really don't know.
I guess it is. It seems to me, it's 12-8, 12-8.
Yeah.
That's how they're doing it. And it seems, when I was going through Abifei's book, I was thinking, he was always talking about ways to make Western State College a unique liberal
Yeah.
arts institution.
Yeah.
And it seems to me it fits in with that. It's
Yeah.
new, but it's not new. Western
That's
State
right.
has always been doing that.
Yeah, what's the big difference?
Yeah.
12 weeks or 8 weeks or just, what is it?
Yeah.
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 They'll have to, in order to earn that amount of credit, you have to have so many weeks in the quarter system, and are we on a semester system now, or what are we on?
Well, it's kind of it's kind of a quarter, I guess, because it's,
Yeah.
I guess it's called a quarter system, but it's a
Well, I
strange
hope
quarter system.
hope the whole entire country still recognizes the semester and the quarter as a unit of time in which to earn a credit.
Yeah,
And so that the credit here can go somewhere else, their credit can become here and
right.
recognized.
Right.
Uh,
I think from what I've seen, there are probably some bugs that need working out.
yeah,
My daughter went to Lewis and Clark in Portland, and they were on this, quarter system, but it was 10 weeks.
oh yeah,
But they only took 3 courses because every course was worth 5 credits.
okay.
And it's pretty hard. I think a lot of the students had a hard time with taking 4 courses or 5 courses even in 12 weeks.
Yeah.
It was pretty rough for some. So, maybe
You
they
have to
can
spend
get
so
that.
many hours, and
Yes.
if you can fit those
Yes.
hours of time credits,
Yeah.
in there, why you can get the credit all right.
Yeah.
So as long as we don't lose sight of that, an hour here at Western
Yeah.
is worth an hour out there, providing you have the proper prof, and
Right.
you have to think that it's
Right.
the proper prof.
Right. Do you see Western as being in any danger? I mean, I always hear this, the legislature doesn't like Western, they're thinking of closing down Western. If any college is vulnerable, it's Western. Has that always been have you always heard that while you were here?
Oh, yes, but I
Okay.
just think that
Yeah.
it's hogwash. I
Okay.
don't think they'll do that. And They'd have a lot of people on them. And what would they do with this campus anyway?
Turn it into a medium security prison. Have you heard that?
Oh, yeah, but I don't think they'd ever have to do that.
I know.
All we got to do is open the door in the middle of winter and say, go ahead, guys.
Yeah, that's right.
How far are they going to get? 2 blocks?
Kind of funny.
But
Well,
I think it's an ideal spot for, and Gunnison would really not like that, I don't think.
Oh, I know. That's another thing that I think it was Nicholson was the first president who took, when I was reading it, Mountain Academia, the first president who took office without fear that they were going to close down the college. I thought, my goodness, has this been a reoccurring theme since 1912?
Well, I think across the hill, yeah, they might say, oh, they're going to close Western.
Yeah,
Well, what do they know about it?
yeah.
It hasn't closed yet.
Yeah.
And it's older than any of them.
That's right. It's been since 1912 they've been saying
That's
that.
right,
I
yeah.
know. What do you see the role of Western in the next, decade, say?
I think it'll probably remain pretty much the way it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be heavy in education.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's what we've done in the past, and that's one of our expertise areas, I guess. And I don't hear of anybody starting any new colleges.
Yeah.
And if they did, they'd have a hard time getting students.
Yeah.
And they'd have to go through the legislature and whatnot, because a quarter credit here is, I think, pretty much the same as a quarter credit down in Grand Junction, or vice versa, or so forth. And it's taken them a long time down there to finally get around to say, well, we're going to get some graduate credit. Well, they've got to get some good profs down there to do it. Now, they have on the undergraduate area.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're good enough to do the other one, then it'll be recognized by the state. So.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Why would you recommend that a student come to Gunnison, to college, to Western?
Well, that would be my own personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the type of people that lived here, and well, I came here because my high school coach and Coach Wright and Niles, Michigan coach, and North Tonawanda, New York. Let's see, where else? They were all going to the University of Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 7 of them, 7 coaches. Coach Wright was one. And Coach became so well acquainted with those guys because they were coaches
Uh-huh.
that he said, I'll take 2 of your ball players. And I came out here with another kid by the name of Alpha Sinclair.
Uh-huh.
Pinky's dead now, but they called him Pinky because he'd get in the shower, he just turned pink. And so they called him Pinky. And we came out together. And 2 guys from North Tonawanda, New York, Mishko and Otto. 2 guys from Niles, Michigan, Girock and Anderson.
Uh-huh.
And to a couple other places, I don't know just where. Anyway, we all came out here together to go to school. All right, come up. You want to come? And that's how I got here. Through
And
my
are
high
you
school
the only one who stayed for the rest of your life? Eventually.
I think so, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But then I liked the Western Slope, and I taught for a lot of places.
Yeah. That was a good way to get a football team.
Well, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think Coach Wright was discouraged by any of them.
Yeah.
We had to do the job, and if you didn't, I never made the first squad, but I was always the second squad.
Yeah.
The score got right, zingle while we were in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Except for Ed Otto, who was a great football player, and Bill Mishko. They came from North Tonawanda. And Ed didn't like people. You know, he wanted to be by himself. And so after 1 year here, and he was a great tackle. Oh my, he was good. A scientific tackle if there ever was one. And he decided he wanted to go back home. So he left. Stayed and worked with us in the summertime. We all got jobs up at Taylor Park, working for the Forest Service.
Yeah.
And he says, I got to go. And last time I saw Ed, he was walking to town. He would catch a ride sooner or later. And he went back to North Tonawanda, New York, which is in the northern part of New York.
I think he'd like Gunnison.
And then went into Alaska. And they lost him. And I think that he was a loner. He got back in there and was probably he liked mining would have been his thing, you know, specimens and so forth. I think he just got back in there and saw probably some bear, says, "What?" You know. Nobody ever. Bill Mishko stayed here and in Colorado.
You'd think somebody, though, from upper state New York would like Gunnison. Same climate, mountains.
You think they wouldn't like it?
I think they would.
Oh, yes.
I would have thought
yeah.
he would have been felt at home
And Mishko
here.
stayed, and he died down in Colorado Springs. He was a teacher down there.
And you came from
Pana,
Illinois, and you stayed.
Yeah, just about 60 miles from the east side of St. Louis.
Of course, there's something about my husband. Nate comes from the Midwest, and he's a Westerner.
Who's that, huh?
Nate, my husband.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Nate's just, and he comes from Iowa,
Yeah.
but he's a Westerner.
What town in Iowa?
Well, he was born up in Mallard.
Mallard?
Up by Spencer, but he's really from Iowa
I know where
City.
Spencer is.
Oh, okay, that's where
Close
he
to
was
Sac City.
right
Yeah,
up
we
there.
spent 13 seasons. My father was a good rough carpenter, but he was one hell of a trumpet player.
Oh, right.
And
yeah, that's what you said.
so we went up there for 13 seasons, Sac
Oh.
City, and every chance I get, I go back through there and
Yeah.
go out to the cemetery and
Yeah.
visit a few folks out there.
Yeah. It's
That
an interesting
did.
place, I
Oh,
think.
yeah, just very.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, well, I want to be sure and ask you. You got 2 honors in 1993, right? You were inducted into the Music Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Right. And why were you inducted into the Music Hall of Fame?
Well, when I first came out of college and got a job and did my student teaching and so forth, well, there was the choir directors, the vocal teachers in the school, the string teachers in the school, the band teachers in the school, and they're all trying to do recruiting programs and so forth. So I recognized the need, since I was doing all of that, all of those areas, from beginners through out of school, that and in all areas, and they're all trained like I am, and they can do it if they want to. So I just I was one of the first bandmen to ever become a vocal teacher up above in the Greeley area. I got with those gals in there, and they were kind of snooty with me at first. Come to find out, we're doing the same damn job, see? So through that, well, I said, we're music teachers, not vocal teachers, but we're music teachers. So I coined the name CMEA, Colorado Music Educators Association, into one organization. And it's because of that they put me in the Hall of Fame.
Well, it sounds like you deserve that.
And
Seems like that made sense.
and John Kincaid got in there at the same time I did, because he did stuff with pushing British band and band instrumentation in Colorado. And of course he had taught for many years and as a Marine down in New Zealand. And while he's down there shooting Japs, well, he's also playing in the band.
Oh.
So he spent some time, come back, and had made a lot of friends with families down there. And this is the story that I get anyway.
Yeah. So that's.
And so and he started a brass band
Mhm.
here, and they're all small bands,
Uh-huh.
small military bands. So I imagine somebody sponsored him, put his name in the hat, and so they made him.
That's nice too.
Yeah.
So you
I
got
thought it was
some
great. I was
people,
tickled.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And also, you got an award from the Colorado Council on High School College Relations, right?
That's right,
For
yeah.
an innovative system, right? What was your innovative
Oh, yeah.
system?
Well, we just got them organized. That's all.
Yeah.
I always was pretty good at organizing.
Yeah, that's obvious, yeah.
Each college used to go into the high school separately. And
Oh yeah. Well, that's one of the main things is
Yeah.
that as soon as I started traveling as a recruiter, I could see, and those guys, I would meet other recruiters.
Mhm.
And so where are you going next? Well, I'm going over so-and-so. And this guy's saying, well, I'm going on so-and-so here. And I thought, look how much education those students are losing. And the counselor, his job is not to help those kids get in college or help us get his students to go.
Yeah.
So we just worked around and called them all musicians.
Uh-huh.
Colorado Music Educators Association.
You're off track. You're talking about when you went into each high school, it took too much time from the students in the high school.
Oh yeah, that's what.
To
Yeah.
visit with the.
Yes, I'm getting to that.
Okay, but you went back to music instead of.
All right. Well,
You got a
Yeah,
kibitzer here.
they're all in music. So we would get all of the recruiters
Uh-huh.
to go with this. Well, she's right. And we finally would pull them together with the counselor. Instead of him having to do with 25 counselors on 25 different days, how about if you make one day, invite the other schools in the district in,
Yeah.
Declare a holiday
Uh-huh.
for your other students, or
Yeah.
let them do something else too,
Yeah.
but keep your seniors, and you can bring your seniors over here to us.
Yeah. Like a college day or
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's where the
Yeah.
college day came
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
And look at the amount of time we saved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we became known. And we were a body that could do things.
Yeah.
Because all these counselors together, and if another from out of state, if a counselor wanted to come in, if he came by our rules,
Uh-huh.
and it was okay with the advisor at the high school,
Uh-huh.
he could do that.
Oh, yeah. So,
But he had to have permission from that school to visit with us.
Yeah.
So.
So they honored you for that. That's,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good
Yeah.
that they did. Yeah, I think that's good.
Just pulled them together.
Now, is there anything on your crib sheet that I missed that you wanted to say and I
No,
forgot
I don't
to
know.
ask you?
My missus helped me with this, or she wrote it.
Well, yeah, and Nona was real good about giving me a lot of background too.
Well, this is just part of what I did. I did a lot of construction work
Recreation.
and road construction. Taylor Dam worked up there. Boiler house, I fired that by cold all the time I was in school.
Oh, okay, that was your kind of work study job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
No, I had the job, period. That was it.
Oh,
Lived in the old dome, which was destroyed. Then I got to the place where I had all of my credits, just about, and what the rest the rest that I had to pick up, I could pick up in the summertime. They'd, for instance, they sent me over to Uray
Mhm.
because the bandman got to messing around, they fired him. And so he did that. And then what happened at Hayden?
Well, you were just hired as a teacher there.
Yeah, well, I did, but I went there earlier in the year, didn't I? Yeah, I went to
You there
Delta.
because of the draft.
Huh?
You went there because of the draft.
That's right. The drafts are going to get me.
Huh.
They did.
Yeah.
I went over,
Did it?
couldn't
Did it get
pass
you?
the physical
Oh,
because
okay.
I'm allergic to pork.
Oh.
And Delta, Littleton, and Durango. I taught.
Okay.
Something that might be interesting is the recreational thing that's at the very bottom of the sheet. Antelope Hill, Quicks Hill, the train, a whole bit.
Oh, on the CMEA?
No, on recreation, the skiing thing.
Oh.
I might like to know about that, since we're now ski-oriented.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I can't take full credit of that, but I helped. But the two guys that developed the first skiing areas here was Johnny Lake, and we just buried him, John Knowles.
Oh, yeah.
Or not Johnny Lake, but Rye Lake.
Wait 1 second. Let me put in the
Okay,
tape.
while that's off,
What?
it's not recording. For recreation, what did you do for recreation here? You know, it's not all work and stuff. And so what I put down there, one of the first places that we skied, or you skied, was over on Antelope Hill. There was a little run over on Antelope Hill. There was also a little ski area that kids participated in on Cupola Hill, which is above the college, which is where the tanks are and so
Oh,
forth.
yeah.
There was a little ski run up there. Okay, Quicks Hill is as you go up to Crest Butte, it's just across Cement Creek. It's that nice
Where Cement
big
Creek comes
thing
in?
before
Yeah.
you get to the House of
Yeah.
7 Acres and so forth,
Yeah.
the nice slope.
Yeah.
Well, of course, there are no pulleys, or there's
Yeah.
no lifts or anything on
Yeah.
those. You'd burn the hair boy.
Yeah.
Okay, we did that. Then this train that came over Marshall Pass, one time they came in and all the skiers got on the train and they took you up to the top of Marshall Pass and you skied down Marshall Pass.
Oh.
And then the train
Would back
came
down the hill.
Back
Oh.
down the hill and took
get
you
on
back
again,
up.
pull you
and
back up.
Oh, my
down the
goodness.
hill.
Oh, God.
Okay,
That
we
must
did
have been fun.
Yeah.
And then the other place that we skied was on Monarch Pass, Old Monarch Pass. And when you get to the top of Monarch and you go down to the first
Yeah,
big curve,
I've
there's a
skied
place
that.
you look up there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you did with that, instead of having a lift or a T-bar or whatever you want to call it, the car picked you up down at the bottom. Of course, that road was not there where it
Yeah,
is in that
right,
big curve.
right.
You skied down through that, and then the car picked you up, drove you back up to the top of
Oh.
Monarch. And so
Well, if you have time sometime, take Old Monarch.
Yeah, I have one
And
on,
you can
on
see
a
it.
ski trip. Yeah.
then you go
Actually,
over to
yeah.
the top, and then you come down,
Yeah.
you can see it right up there. You come.
Yeah.
It's kind of clear, and it was then too, and you come see
Yeah.
down through
I'll
that.
have to do that
So
this
I
summer.
put that now.
Yeah.
Okay, then the other. No, we're not being recorded, so.
Yeah, you are being recorded, but that's all right.
Oh no, you didn't work. You took it out. You weren't supposed to turn it on.
Oh, well, that's all right. This
Oh,
is
well,
just
it
a
is,
conversation.
it is.
It's all right. We'll let him talk on yours, Nona.
Sure.
The
It's
other
okay.
thing is the fishing and the cabin down the river and all of the people that he took fishing to recruit students.
Oh, yeah, tell me about that. Nate was telling me you and Nona are big fisher.
Oh, yeah. Well,
And try and catch 'em fish camp.
and any of the counselors that did a good service for us,
Uh-huh.
so forth, I came up with the name, the Try and Catch 'em Fish Camp.
Uh-huh.
And to get invited to that, man, you had to be somebody.
Uh-huh.
They thought.
And send students.
Yeah, and as
Well,
a
that's
result of
amazing.
that, why, we recruited students.
Uh-huh.
With that.
And where would you go to fish?
In the Gunnison River. I have a
Oh.
cabin down on the river.
Oh,
and-
okay,
oh,
that's
yeah.
right. You guys
And
do
they could fish down there or have a tent, and I'd take them down there
Uh-huh.
in my kayak and fly fish and so forth.
Well, you were here before the dam too, weren't you? That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Did that?
Not but a couple of years.
Okay.
They were building it when I was a freshman. Huh?
After we came back, they built that dam.
Okay. Listen up there, yeah.
Oh, that's right. You were here before Taylor Dam.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when it
Yeah,
was
Taylor.
kayaks.
Yeah.
And when the Trying Fisher Fish Camp was here, it was a motorboat and it was a raft.
Yeah,
They took the people off.
I bet the fishing was better before the dam, huh?
oh, God, yes.
Before both dams, huh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I still have a kayak out, the skeleton of a kayak out behind my cabin down on the river. It needs to be covered, but
They used to come down the Taylor, or the Gunnison.
I have come clear down from Taylor Dam, but it's a tough job to do. And you don't think much of your kayak if you do that.
I bet that's
So
true.
we would get in at the North Bridge up here,
Uh-huh.
or go clear up to next little town up here, and then come down.
Uh-huh.
And that was good fly fishing, but for the most part, after East River came in at Almont,
Uh-huh.
you could float to there, clear down to the clear on down.
Moncrief.
Moncrief's,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Moncrief had an area down there well, the Moncrief Ras is now under about 350 feet of water.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, Saponaro is too, right?
You bet.
I bet you saw Saponaro when it was a town.
Oh, yes, yeah.
It must have been a pretty river, huh?
Oh, beautiful river, yes.
Yeah, you can
Sure
see
was.
that sometimes in a drought. Oh, what'd you do? What'd you do? Well, anything else that you want to comment on? And feel free to comment because this is we'll let Mickey comment on yours.
I don't know, that's just about everything.
Okay, good. Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah.